Welcome in, everybody. We got week 7 power rankings coming at you today. I got a little guest here today, Boston J. Jason, how you feeling today?
Yeah, feeling great. It's been a great fantasy football season so far. So excited to jump on with you, Blake. You've been doing a great job with power rankings thus far. Hope I can match what Zayd brought last week.
So we're trying to get all the weekend dads on the show here, get some reactions to the power rankings, get a little bit more input, so I'm not just here by myself. So let's go ahead and kick off the show, Jason, with a big trade we had today between you and Jimmy. So we had Jimmy receiving Cooper Kupp and James Robinson from you, and you got Laviska Shenault and AJ Brown. What was the thought process kind of behind that trade there, and what kind of drove you to make that?
I mean, been struggling with having a lot of depth players that are probably startable on most teams. Just trying to improve the starting lineup, get rid of the depth, kind of keep the bottom of the roster a little bit more fluid going forward. And some people reaching out on some guys today. A lot of trade talks, but I look at Jimmy's team. He doesn't have an RB2, and he's got a bunch of good receivers, so it made sense for both teams. Both teams get better in the trade. That's the key to being a good trade partner. And Jimmy and I have been great trade partners for years, so glad we can get another one worked out.
Yeah, I mean, my initial thoughts were, what the heck is going on? I think the more I looked at it and the more I looked at both your guys' rosters, I realized that actually kind of helps out both teams. I know Jimmy was struggling at running back a little bit, so James Robinson will be a good addition to his team. I think it took away a little bit of depth from you. It also added some more wide receiver options with your already issues of starting the correct wide receiver, so that'll be interesting to see how you manage that. But I think it worked out well for both sides, so it'll definitely be interesting. I think it makes both teams better, see how that kind of affects things going forward. So we'll go ahead and start off into the power rankings, dive on in. It was a big week this past week, and we had a lot of big movers, a lot of people up and down, and I think there will be some surprises here. So we'll start off at the bottom.
Number 10.
Coming in at number 10, a huge upset. We got the Cardboard Hippos. Now, Jason, these guys dropped 6 spots this past week. I know last week everyone was looking at Dustin like, how the heck is he number 4? Well, I think it got a little bit corrected here. We dropped Dustin all the way down to number 10. He had a devastating loss to you last week. Josh Allen just really seemed to struggle, and he had some questionable management decisions, I think, that leaked across the matchup coming from the Cream Pies. I think he got in his head a little bit. He had Kenyon Drake on his bench. He scored, close to 30 or something. He had his number 1 scorer, Justin Jefferson, scored high for him, I know, but he's going to be on bye this week, and he has a really tough matchup with Colin coming up. So Dustin's team, it just seems to be in a free fall ever since Saquon got hurt. Josh Allen has cooled off a little bit after his first couple crazy weeks, and some of his draft picks just really haven't worked out. So what do you think about Dustin dropping down to 10 here, Jason?
That Kenyon Drake mismanagement. I mean, no words for that kind of error. I would never leave a guy with 30 points on my bench. Never see that from a good manager. But in all seriousness, definitely, I think everyone thought was a little overranked last week. You got Mike Evans, the Jerome Bettis of wide receivers. Keenan Allen's been injured. DJ Moore had a slow start, but he's going to be fine, I think, in the long run. Saquon getting hurt isn't like CMC getting hurt, where Mike Davis kind of filled in and helped him out. So he's got Darrell Henderson, who I think is a pretty good back, and probably he should be starting going forward. I think he had a bad week last week, but he looked good up there. I mean, Justin Jefferson is Dustin's big pick. LSU fandom saved him there, but yeah, I mean, definitely struggling, and I don't know if the arrow's pointing upwards with Chubb coming back and maybe taking away from Hunt, and Josh Allen kind of coming back down to earth off a big start. So yeah.
Yeah, he's looking a little rough, only averaging 121 points a game. Big drop down at 2-4. We're coming up on the halfway point of the season. I think this week will actually mark the official halfway. So it's time to start making that playoff push. And I mean, everything's going to be important, or every matchup's going to be important for Dustin, I think, from here on out. So we'll go ahead and move on.
Number 9.
Coming in at number 9, we got the return of the Mags. Jimmy moving up one spot, basically due to Dustin's fall from grace. He had a big win this past week over Zaid. Devontae Adams came back, but didn't really do anything. The Packers just looked honestly a huge mess. He kind of got carried by Kyler a little bit, and Kyler's going to be having a good matchup this week with Seattle, so you can look to him, keep kind of helping Jimmy out. The Cowboys also looked terrible with Zeke, so that kind of hurt Jimmy. I think this ended up being a pretty low scoring game. I don't think Zaid broke 100, but I think you can expect a bounce back from Devontae Adams and Zeke. Andy Dalton's still trying to get used to that offense, and I guess get his football legs back under him. So we'll see if he's able to actually do anything, or they might be in the market for some Fitz magic. We would never know.
I don't know if that's even on a different topic. I don't even know if that's like a possibility, because the NFL just doesn't trade like that.
Probably not. But we'll see if Jimmy can kind of pick up the pieces here. He's got Zeke, Devontae, Kyler. He's going to need definitely some help from that. I kind of went through this, and then we also have the addition now of James Robinson, Cooper Kupp. He really needed some help, I know, with his depth at receiver and running back. I don't even remember who his second running back was after Zeke. Obviously, it wasn't someone very good.
I mean, he's got Myles Gaskin, who's probably very underrated for like how he's being used. He's been doing really well. He's run really bad with touchdowns, but he's getting the high value touches. So that's a guy I kind of tried to pluck off instead of Laviska from Jimmy, but he was too sharp. But yeah, Justin Jackson will probably lose his role, but he's gonna be good for the next couple weeks. I don't think Jimmy's got a bad team. I mean, he's with most of the league at tight end, kind of with struggling week to week. Got a good quarterback, got a high value receiver. There's probably struggles with a little bit of depth at receiver this year. Due to a little bit of injury, I believe he lost Sutton week 1 or week 2.
Yeah, I think he's
3-3.
Yeah, I think he's had a lot of issues with injuries, especially like he was missing Devontae for a really long time. And Kyler Murray had a couple rough weeks in there. But I definitely think Jimmy's team is a lot better. I think now it's kind of worked out from what we thought he had at the draft. Honestly, a lot of our teams are pretty even across the board. Anyone can win it any week. But yeah, Jimmy moving out of the 10 spot up into 9. So making moves.
It's 2 in a row for Jimmy. Nobody's talking about it. So yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Alrighty.
Number 8.
Coming at number 8, we got Trevor's 4K Blu-ray player, Team Tots, Eric's team. Also another product of the Hippos' large fall. So it finally finds itself at the season high of rank 8. Eric is just moving up, man. Moving up in the world. He had a pretty expected loss, I think, this last week against Colin's team, even though Colin was missing his best player, Alvin Kamara. You can look to Eric's going to be getting DK Metcalf back this week. He still has his Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, George Kittle's back, but he hasn't been as healthy this year, but we've seen a couple big games from him. So I think Eric's finally getting his team at like full strength. And I mean, I think it really relies just on Mahomes and Tyreek of how he's going to be doing. He has a tough matchup against myself this week, so we'll see. I kind of hope Eric doesn't have a great week, but his team has potential, I think, to boom, but it also has busted. Obviously, he has, I think, the lowest points per game in the league. So
yeah, I mean, he's got like the scariest maybe wide receiver core in the league with Tyreek Hill, DK Metcalf, Marquise Brown, and then he's got Kittle, number 2 tight end, even though he's been injured, and the best quarterback in Mahomes. So I think he's been kind of low ranked because of his running backs, but I don't know if that really matters long term if he's able to get like 10 points. Judy's probably a guy I'll be starting for him at the end of the year. He's kind of run bad the first 6 weeks with bad quarterback play and kind of having to be adjusting to be the number 1 in the NFL on a bad offense. I think he'll improve throughout the year, and I think he's got a good team if he can get some wins. 2-4 is hard to come back from, but we've seen it before, and we've seen people be 2-4 and win championships in the same year. So
yeah, Eric's another one that I think we kind of looked at his team and laughed at him at the beginning of the year. I think as the year's gone on, we kind of looked and we're like, oh, it's not awful. I think a couple moves away, if he could get like a solid running back or a good pickup or something, like he would really be pretty dangerous. So still at 2-4, he can't afford to lose too many more games here, especially when you got Colin up at like 5-1. So he's definitely going to have to win some games, but I mean, the rest of the league's pretty close, so there's always a chance with Eric. So
Number 7.
coming in at number 7, still locked in, the Booty Pebbles, Mark's team. He still has his number 1 vote in there, just one. I don't.
Like every week, right?
Yeah, I think it's been 3 or 4 weeks in a row now. I don't know where they come from, but there's one person in the league apparently that just thinks Mark has the best team. So I don't know. He had a really disappointing week this past week. He had only 85 points, and 20 of those were from his kicker. So that's rough, man. I mean, come on, Mark. He's going to be reliant heavily on his new waiver additions of Boston Scott to kind of give his team a jump start. CMC's still not expected to play. Mike Davis got a little banged up in that last game. Bears defense, honestly, just were kind of locking the Panthers down, so Mike Davis wasn't really an option. I know you want to give Mark a little props on a certain transaction he had this past week.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit unexpected, kind of off brand for Mark, but he kind of bit the bullet. He's had Mecole Hardman on his team, the punt returner for the Chiefs for years, and finally, after like they've had a bunch of injured starters, Mecole Hardman is still running behind Byron Pringle. I didn't think Mark would drop him, but he did. So, props to Mark. He's getting better every year. I tell you guys that all the time. Yeah, I mean for the injuries he's had, being 4-2 is for Mark. He's got $10 of fab left. Probably also a little bit on brand for Mark. I don't know how he's going to recover from Mike Davis when CMC comes back. You just get a great running back and you lose him like that. It's going to be tough. Michael Gallup, keeper of the year, struggling. Cam Akers is probably not rosterable. DJ Chark's been injured. I don't really know what's up with him, but Jacksonville's a little tough to bank on. But I don't know. He's 4-2. I don't want to feel him too much because I know he gets fired up after watching these each week. But it's gonna be tough to repeat with this team. And when Alexander Madison hurt him last week, like he did, was tough to see from all accounts. So
Mark's been waiting 2 or 3 years possibly for that Alexander Madison, just the opportunity, and it finally was here. And I think he was pretty disappointed in the outcome. He had like three points. So
yeah, I mean, on the same note, good to see Mike Boone out there getting some good red zone touches and good pass attempts. I mean, that's a guy that people have struggled with for years, and he's out there a little bit more than Madison, and maybe he's the backup.
Yeah, Mark has a lot of hope in his team. I think the voters of these power rankings here are just not seeing it, and they just continue to be disappointed in some of his performances. So he has a game coming up against Jimmy this week, so he'll probably need to break 100, I assume, to beat the Mag. So hopefully Mark can get that going for him this week, and we'll see if he's able to return to his dominance. I mean, he does at least have the cushion of being 4-2. I don't really know how that happened, but here we are. Mark's got 4-2 record, second best record in the league, but we'll see how he's able to keep it going, man.
I'll say for Mark, incredible run. I think this is 4 straight weeks being at number 7. The consistency there is unmatched amongst the rest of the power rankings. And another, I think, a weird note with his team is Mark rostering AJ Green might be one of the weirdest things of 2020.
It's very off-brand.
I don't know how to feel about that, but yeah, that's about it for Mark.
That makes me a little uncomfortable too, but we'll go on to number 6.
Number 6.
Coming in at number 6, we got Zao Zappy Zarillas. So Zade's able to move up 2 spots from last week. He had a rough week too, though. He wasn't able to break 100. He only scored 95 points against Jimmy. The Andy Dalton experiment did not work out. I think he's still on his roster as of right now, so we'll see if he's going to double down on the Cowboys' new quarterback. Leonard Fournette looks like he's getting a little bit phased out behind Ronald Jones. Ronald Jones has looked really good, and he's had just some bad performances, bad matchups, but he's got a big rivalry game coming up this week against the Nutcrackers. Him and Austin, two pretty big rivals. So, what do you think about Zayd at number 6?
We're roommates. Yeah, just off the top, like seeing Leonard Fournette on his team, and I mean, who could have seen this coming with Leonard Fournette having like such an off year as he did, kind of came out of nowhere. So tough for keeper to kind of fall from grace like that after being a keeper for round 2, I believe. I think Zayd's been fighting rough tight end play, like some other teams. Evan Ingram's been letting him down. He's got Jonnu finally, and then Jonnu gets hurt last week. Robbie Anderson, Tyler Boyd, Amari Cooper. Could be guys that are great or not good, but I think they've all been pretty good through early in the year. Todd Gurley obviously concerns me. I'm not a guy that's big on dusty running backs, and I think Todd Gurley's kind of had like his peak performance that he possibly could have through 6 weeks, even after the bad week last week. I mean, I don't know who's got worse knees, Todd Gurley or Jerick McKinnon.
I heard a really interesting stat that Kenyon Drake and Todd Gurley are basically the same stat wise on the year, except Todd Gurley has gotten the touchdowns, whereas Kenyon hasn't.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, Zayd's able to move up. I think Zayd's team, it's pretty good. It really hurts, I think, that his face of his franchise, Leonard Fournette, it's always been Zayd's guy. He's just, it looks like it's not working out for him this year. So, see if Zayd's able to kind of keep it going, see what he can do this week against Austin. This is, I think, going to be a big game, and there'll probably be a lot of bragging rights on the line for this one. So we'll get a lot of fighting in the chat coming up.
It's good to see Zayd doubling down on Andy Dalton. He had a rough week, first week starting, and doubling down against a good Washington line defense, the Washington football team defense that is going to get pressure on us. Because they have no offensive linemen. So, devastating news for him today with Joey Sly going on the COVID IR list. He's going to have to find a new kicker.
Oh, has Zayd ever missed playoffs in all the years he's played fantasy?
His first 2 years were his first 2 years ever playing fantasy football, and then last year he did not make it.
Okay.
He was actually in 9th place. So.
Okay, well, still 66%.
I wish
playoff percentage right now. So I mean, he's a force to be reckoned with. I trust that Zayd's going to get it together and figure out a way to figure it out. So
Number 5.
Coming in at number 5, we got his rival Austin. The Nutcrackers are going to be dropping 2 spots from last week. He also did not reach 100 this past week, which is very unlike his team this past year. He's been one of the higher scoring teams of the league so far. He ran into a full-grown man in Derrick Henry this past week, dropped 40 points on him. But he might have found his replacement quarterback for Dak. He had Tannehill on his bench, but Tannehill's looked pretty good this season. That Titans offense has been moving, and I mean, Derrick Henry's going to take some rushing touchdowns and stuff, but the receivers, I mean, A.J. Brown, Corey Davis should hopefully be coming back soon. Jonnu Smith's looked good, but he got hurt. What was the new guy? Berkshire. That guy.
Been Berkshire for years, and it's good to see Berkshire have some good run this year.
Gosh, he killed. Jonnu killed on my DK lineups, and then Berkshire came in and took all the targets. But he's going to be getting a huge chunk of his team back, basically the whole core this week that we're all on bye with. Josh Jacobs, Chris Carson, Darren Waller, and Tyler Lockett. So he was without all those guys. So I guess that makes sense why he didn't break 100. I think looking at that, it's just kind of funny how much Austin loves his team stack. So he's got his 2 Raiders and his 2 Seahawks. But he's got a solid team. He's been a high scoring team. And it kind of goes as the Raiders and Seahawks will be going. So he could definitely make some noise come the end of the season and be a playoff team. So what you think about Austin's team, Jason?
Austin of old is the team that was scoring 90 points and going 5-0, and a little part of me fears that we're getting back to the Austin of old, even though he's shaken that early in the year. It's his lineup looks a lot better this week than last week, and I think he took a good approach with having kind of a bipocalypse and stacking the Dolphins, who put up a lot of points, but just kind of didn't hit the right receivers on his team. But Travis Fulgham in my starting lineup would scare me, even though he's getting tons of targets. I think he's got a fine team. Tannehill is QB9 on the year, passes bye week, so probably pretty much as good as Dak was for him. T. Higgins has been really good. I know that's your boy. I don't know. I've heard rumors that the Nutcracker's been in the trade market and having lots of trade talks across the league. So
He's always
who knows
dealing,
if
man.
this is his team?
Throwing cherries
I
out.
mean, yeah, I don't know. Chris Carson has been great, but for some reason, Chris Carson just like seems like he won't be there for the full year, and there's no one to replace him. But for some, I don't know.
I don't know.
And
I mean,
I don't know if Raheem's coming back.
his running back core right now with Jacobs and Carson is pretty good. Like you said, though, I don't know, the Seahawks, their offense has been weird. They've taken such a shift, which he kind of needs with Lockett, of passing the ball more, and it's been able to get Chris Carson, I think, some touchdowns. But that Seahawks offense has looked really good so far. But Carson's always had issues staying healthy, and I think Jacobs has been a little banged up this year as well. But Josh Jacobs, that was your boy before you traded him at the beginning of the year. But he's had a pretty good season so far. Darren Waller's probably one of the safer tight ends outside of Kittle and Kelsey.
Yeah.
So Austin's team's pretty solid, I think.
He's probably Waller's probably ahead of Andrews for me now, just off pure volume.
Yeah, I would
But
agree.
yeah, I think he's okay. I worry about his running backs, I think, long term, because I just don't. Maybe I'm just viewing Jacobs and Carson poorly when I have no reason to. But hey, he's got Smooches McKissick down there, so you never know.
New running back one apparently for the Washington football team. Sorry, I almost said the wrong name there. But all right, we'll go ahead and move on.
I cancel the show.
Number 4.
Coming at number 4, we got the Chain Gang. So they've moved up one spot from last week. They got a 2-game winning streak, getting carried this past week by Derrick Henry with his 40 points. And I mean, Trevor's right now, it seems like his ride or die with Chase Claypool. Juju Smith's pretty much dead. Chase Claypool has been his wide receiver. I think he claimed him as one of his guys, but whatever. He'll be getting Russell Wilson back this week. Michael Slantboy Thomas, your boy, possibly coming back this week. I don't know. They said he's been limited in practice, but I thought he was ready the last week that they played, but apparently he had his he kind of got like suspended or something from a game. So we're looking to finally get him back and get a full game out of him. I know Trevor's been waiting the whole season. He's able to get his double tight end stack back this week. Hunter Henry's going to be back. So he's going to be coming against you with that double tight end stack, Russell Wilson, possibly Michael Thomas. I would say you guys are Weekend Dad's game of the week this week, Jason. What do you think about Trevor's team right now?
I mean, in regards to that, some people are saying that it's just another game for me. You know, we go week by week. Every win counts the same. You know, opponents vary each week, and you know sometimes than others. But you know, Derrick Henry never feared me. He ran as good as possible last week, like 2 yards per carry, and then he busted off a long run, and then got like 45 points in overtime. You know, it happens sometimes. Yeah, I mean, Claypool has been a stud. I mean, he's not getting crazy targets, but like what they're giving him is like super high valued for a wide receiver. Like he's getting goal line rushes too, which is he's got him like the last 2 weeks and scored both times. So you like to see that. I mean, Kelsey's probably like the safest floor of any player you could have. Interesting to me, he's got Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers, but he was in the QB market and waivers today, looking at Justin Herbert, which. And I mean, if you can get 3 QBs in a single QB league, I've always said you got to do it. So good on him for being kind of digging down deep in the waiver wire there. I kind of like his LaMichael Pirine stash on the end of his bench. You know, he breaks out as a Jet starting running back. I mean, you get like 40 yards a week.
I was gonna say,
Ingram,
do you really want the Jets running back?
Yeah. I mean, he's got to get an RB2. I mean, Derrick Henry can cover him, I think, in a lot of weeks, but I don't know what James White's role is. I haven't watched too many Patriots games, but I'm pretty sure Melvin Gordon is not going to come back in his full workload with Philip Lindsay. And then Mark Ingram, like the Ravens, he got injured, but the Ravens backfield is pretty much like a 3-man committee. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. With Juju, I mean, I feel like one more week that week and he's like a droppable guy other than name value, right?
Yeah, so I mean, the thing with Trevor's team is he's very top heavy, I feel like. So he has, Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers. Those are two solid quarterbacks. He has Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry's been great this season. Michael Thomas, we haven't gotten to see him really play this year, but we're assuming he's going to be great. And he has Travis Kelce. But when you look at Chase Claypool, he's been good the past couple weeks, but like you were saying, the volume isn't really there. Jameson Crowder, he's on the Jets.
Gets like 20 targets a week though, so it doesn't really matter. He's
I
like the
mean,
running back.
Sam Darnold's banged up right now though, so they're thinking Joe Flacco might play again.
Doesn't really matter though. He's done well both weeks with Flacco.
Yeah,
but I
you
mean, I was kind of.
You start looking at Trevor's bench, and it just kind of worries me with like the Juju, the Melvin Gordon. I mean, Mark Ingram hasn't looked great. Michael Piron's kind of a prayer. So that's the thing, is just Trevor, past his big guys, his team isn't as scary as it might seem, with him being the highest scoring team in the league right now.
I've personally always said draft depth. I've always died on that hill. You've always got to have that depth on your bench. But I mean, he does have Russell Wilson, Derrick Henry, Michael Thomas, Travis Kelce, who are probably the odds-on favorite to be number one at their position each week. So that's enough to kind of mask any depth issues. I mean, if he hits on a running back that's coming off waivers, it's going to help. And yeah, I mean,
well, the funny thing, we've made fun of him all year for those positions you listed that you wouldn't need depth for, is the positions he chooses to have depth for. But
yeah, sometimes you got to go matchups, and sometimes Hunter Henry's got a better matchup than Travis Kelce.
Mm-hmm.
If he could have got Justin Herbert today, I mean, I don't know how he would have decided who to play this week.
I mean, he would have to do the
He's gonna have to go
stack.
Herbert now. Yeah, that's true. Never thought about it like that. And then you throw Gordon in there because the X-Charger.
Yeah, I mean, it would be like a revenge
No,
type.
honestly, he has a good team. But Chase Claypool, I have no worries about locking him into my starting lineup every week. I mean, that's a league winner guy off waivers. They're giving him the ball in space, and that's where you get fantasy points. So wouldn't be concerned about just rolling him out there.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I think. Chase Claypool's looked really good. My big worry with Juju is that Deontay Johnson's coming back. It's like, what is Chase Claypool's getting his, Deontay Johnson's going to be getting his? Like, what's really left for Juju, especially at the end of the contract year? They're just going to kind of phase him out, let him kind of do what he does, run some routes, take some coverage away from the other guys. So,
I mean, I'm a big Deontay guy, as everyone knows, but Juju's not smashing without Deontay. Like, I don't know how he smashes with Deontay, because Deontay's getting a lot of targets when he plays. I think he's had almost as many targets as the whole team, even though he's missed pretty much 3 full games. So it's hard to see everyone working when they also want to run the ball and they have a good defense. So
yeah, so I mean, I think we both agree Trevor's team's pretty good. I mean, he is highest scoring right now. He's been pretty hot the past couple weeks, so got a big week this week, man. I know it's just another game for the Cream Pies.
Another game. Yeah.
Number 3.
Number 3, we got yours truly, the Boston Cream Pies. You jumped up 3 spots, Jason. What do you think about that?
I don't know why. 2 devastating losses against Eric and Jimmy the 2 weeks. I mean, you can argue it's a team that could be 5-1 with maybe some more directions. People love to tell you stat the wrong guy and it was obvious, but no one tells you during the week. So interesting to me. Everyone's very results oriented in the slander there. But I mean, this is probably one of my better squads I've had. Julio Jones, Stephon Diggs, AJ Brown, Thielen as my 4 wide receivers. It all finishes with wide receiver 1 in the year, so it gets me a little excited. No, what's your thoughts? I don't know why we jumped up in the rankings. I mean, just
I mean,
we
so
get a big win.
you got bumped up. You had a low scoring game this past week, but you were able to beat out the Hippos. I do want to congratulate you on having one first place vote. So someone out there thinks the Cream Pies are one of the best or the best team in the league, and I will say it wasn't you that voted that. So you have an admirer out there. The theme of your season has just been mismanagement, man. I mean, this past week, Julio Jones, 30 points on your bench. Ronald Jones, 26 points on your bench. I had written in here before that luckily you have 4 players on bye this week, so you don't have any major start-sit decisions. But then you went and traded and got A.J. Brown and Laviska Shenault, and I'm assuming that you're going to start A.J. Brown, so I would just want to give the recommendation to everyone to lock in Laviska in your DK lineups because he's probably going to score like 40 or 50 this week. But I mean, yeah, you have a good team. Lamar Jackson finally had a good game. I know he broke off a big run, and that's been one of the big things with Lamar this year is it seems he hasn't been running as much and getting those touchdowns, getting those rushing yards. And that was a big part of your team last year just because Lamar is such a fantasy game breaker, really, when he's rushing because rushing quarterbacks are so overpowered in fantasy. But you have a pretty amazing wide receiver core now, especially adding A.J. Brown to it. I mean, your running backs, Mixon, Ronald Jones has looked great. Mixon has been hit or miss. I think the Cincinnati offense is still trying to get going, and Joe Burrow's trying to still figure things out, but he's getting it going, I think. Jonathan Taylor he's been pretty good. He's had a couple down weeks, but you got Chase Edmonds. The train is rolling, except this past week where Kenyon Drake decided he wanted to remember how to play football. But I think you got a pretty solid team, though. Your receivers will definitely keep you going.
Yeah, I mean, in response to the first place vote, I mean, the media is going to vote, and the media is going to vote, and I don't want to be involved in that. It's humbling to hear, but it means nothing until you win another championship. And in response to the questions on the start-sit decisions, I mean, Julio Jones coming off a devastating hamstring injury. First time he's missed a game in a while. He comes back the next week, and I'm not starting a bad guy over Julio Jones. I'm starting CeeDee Lamb, who's been wide receiver 11 on the year so far. So I don't know if I was too off base there, and sometimes to predict things, but it gave me a safe floor. Joe Mixon, Ronald Jones, Jonathan Taylor. It's hard to predict week to week. They're all about the same running back, and we're gonna get it wrong sometimes. And I don't feel bad with my decisions. It can't be results oriented in this economy. So it's gonna happen. Sometimes you're gonna hit the nuts.
Hey, you got the win last week, and that's all that matters. You're right in the thick of things at 3-3, so right there in the playoff hunt with everyone else.
Good. Dallas Goedert's going to come back, and we're going to have a tight end, and it's exciting.
Number 2.
Cutting you off. Going on to number 2. We got yours now. Yours actually, truly, the Bebop and Baby Bears. So I have dropped out of the number 1 spot, and I only had one first place vote on the week. I'm a little relieved. We had a lot of pressure on our shoulders, really. But I had a big decisive victory over the Booty Pebbles with their rough week. I think I have a really consistent roster. I have a good amount of depth, and a lot of wide receiver options. It's just been who's been the healthy receiver options. Miles Sanders is unfortunately RIP again. So I'll be looking at my flex options of Will Fuller and David Montgomery. Matt Ryan, we were just talking about Julio Jones. So Matt Ryan was able to get Julio back, and I mean it's ridiculous how much different. I have Calvin Ridley, so I hit the stack, but Matt Ryan is a completely different quarterback, it seems, when Julio Jones is on the field and he has that security blanket to be able to throw to. It's just like he gets, even if he's not throwing to Julio, it's just the confidence that he has in throwing the ball and the coverage that Julio is able to pull that it just helps Matt Ryan out so much.
Did you start Matt Ryan over Cam Newton last week?
I started Cam last week, and I started Matt Ryan the week before, where he only scored 9 points. So Cam,
Yeah, I mean, I mean,
Cam's
you were bringing
provided
up
kind of a good
mismanagement.
floor for me.
I don't want to
So
bring him up.
I mean, I got the win.
Yeah,
So
I think it's fine. There's rushing floors there. Yeah, I mean, I don't. Your Will Fuller's on your bench. I don't know how he could be on your bench. I don't know if this is not the actual lineup, but he's the wide receiver 8 on the year. When he's healthy, I think he's got to plug him in so you can break it open anytime. David Montgomery is like the worst running back I see every week. Probably like they're definitely drafting a running back next year. Like he's horrible.
their
I'd
offense has
love to
just
see
been bad.
Gronkowski out there. Yeah, but he's like was horrible last year, and just I don't know. He's like the new Leonard Fournette in my eyes.
Trade him over to Zayd.
I mean, your receivers with Godwin, Galladay, Ridley, Will Fuller. I mean, those are 4 wide receiver ones each week if they want to be. I'm probably more concerned about Godwin than anybody else. Just don't really know what to expect from the Bucks.
They've had so
Le'Veon
many
Bell's-
injuries. It's been like, what is the
Yeah.
Bucks offense? They haven't had everyone all together, I feel like, yet.
Yeah,
But
I mean, I like Godwin more than Evans for sure, but I just don't know if like you're getting the same type of production from the offense
Yep.
with Brady. But yeah, I mean, you got Gronk this week. I'm excited to see that. He was actually used a good bit last week, so surprising coming off retirement.
yeah, so I mean, I think
You got
something that's
Jalen Reagor on your bench too.
oh, I swiped up Trev's guy a little bit, just throw him on the IR there, just in case it comes back. You
never know.
I think something
I
a
mean,
little
you
weird
got,
with my team is I have 2 quarterbacks, 2 tight ends, and 2 defenses all right now. That's very, very unlike me. I usually just keep one of each of those. So I'm
I mean,
playing a
you've
little
got
bit of
Andrews
matchups
on
this week.
bye, so you get Andrews on bye though, so that's why you have Gronk.
Yeah, and that Tennessee offense is scaring me off the Steelers defense a little bit this week, but I can't give up that Steelers defense, not with all those sacks.
I mean, it's not going to be good for the Tennessee run game, but probably good for the Tennessee passing game from previous week's results. So we'll see how it goes. I'd feel fine throwing out the Steelers, I think. Maybe. I don't know. It's probably a toss up. It's defenses.
Yeah, I don't know. We should have got rid of him anyway, but I just think it hurt me a little bit just because I know historically my franchise is a little injury prone, so dropping some wide receiver and running back depth off to keep a quarterback, a tight end, and defenses just kind of it makes my heart hurt a little bit because I'm just expecting James Conner to trip falling down the stairs at his hotel or something. I don't know. Just seems like
he's been
how
great. Yeah. I mean, it's Wolfie's been working on your graphic each week, and it's getting tough to fit players in there. He's having to delete some guys that you've dropped and already taken out of the fantasy football season. Will Fuller survived, and James Conner survived, so miracles do happen.
We'll go. We'll see. I got a big matchup against the Mags this week, so take Jimmy down. We'll see. Is it Eric?
Get Eric this week. Yeah.
Oh, I got Eric this week. Oh crap. Well, I got Eric.
Huge week for David Montgomery in a primetime Monday Night Football game, and I personally can't wait.
Hey, Nick Foles in primetime though. Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
50 points guaranteed. All right, let's move on.
Number 1.
Coming in at number 1, that can only leave one team. The Gibsons. So Colin's actually able to take the number 1 spot for the first time so far this year. He's been kind of bouncing around between 2, 3. I think Austin was 1 for a year, but Colin hasn't gotten up there yet. So he's red hot on a 5 win streak. He had 4 first place votes. And he's been consistently a high scorer. Deshaun Watson the past 3 weeks has had over 20 points and has been pretty much on fire. I think some of that's even come from garbage time. He was still able to get a win even with Kamara out, who's arguably his best player that he has on his team. And I think this past week showed that Dalvin Cook's snaps aren't going to go anywhere. He doesn't need to be threatened from Madison because Madison looked pretty awful and can't do what Dalvin can do. So Colin probably has the best duo of running backs, I think, in the league with Kamara and Cook, and they've just been killing it. The big concern has always just been injuries with both those guys, but Cook's been a little banged up recently. Kamara's been healthy so far. And Kamara's gotten him some pretty big wins over me and Mark. So his receivers are a little iffy. He had a big pickup though this week. Jason, you want to talk about that?
Oh yeah, people think Collins asleep at the wheel sometimes, and he's in first place. He's getting 4 first place votes. He's number 1 in the power rankings this week, and lose in the middle of the day. Everyone's running to the waiver wire. Antonio Brown might sign in 2 weeks. Colin didn't need that news to come out at 4:00 today. Colin was on the waivers, and he picked up Antonio Brown for free last night while everyone was sleeping. So people think Colin's out here just kind of messing around, but I mean, he's got some sources, man, and he's got a squad this year. He's got to figure out wide receivers, and he's got Antonio Brown now back for the stretch. He's going to go to the Seahawks, take over DK and Lockett. It's going to hurt their value. And then, I mean, it's weird to see the number 1 team in power rankings starting Adam Humphries and James Washington this week, but that's the world we live in. Dalton Schultz is a guy I like at tight end. With Blake Jarwin going down, he just gets a lot of targets. But yeah, I mean, got some good running backs. I'm still not a Dalvin Cook believer for the year, but he's proven me wrong each week so far. I mean, somebody beat Colin earlier in the year. I can't remember who, but he's 5-1, and
I think it was his very first game. Hasn't lost since. So
yeah, I don't remember who it was, but first game, yeah,
might have been Mark. I don't remember though. But I mean, yeah, he's second highest right now in points per game. 5-game win streak. So Collins, he's the silent assassin. Just comes in the chat, hits you with the GG, and just makes you feel like crap, and just steals the life out of you. You know. But
he's got a DeAndre Swift on his team. He drafted him as a rookie. He held him until now. He's probably the lead back for Detroit. So
yeah. So I mean,
he's got a good quadrant of running backs.
I think it's been a long time coming. He's had the best record in the league for the past several weeks now. With his only 1 loss, it seems everyone else is. I mean, half the league's at 3-3, so got a 2-game lead on everyone else. Oh wait,
he's got a 2-game lead in our division.
Yeah. So
yeah, he has 2-game lead in our division, which kind of concerned me. It's hard to make those up, but he's off to a hot start, and I'm sure he's going to keep it up.
Yeah, so we'll see what the Gibsons are able to get going. So that's going to be our power rankings. We had a lot of movement. I think the only person that stayed the same was Mark, locked in at 7, but I don't think we expect him to move off that anytime soon. If anything, he's probably just going to keep dropping. But I think the fans and the weekend dads as a whole have agreed that Mark is just the 7th team in the league. He's going to just keep fueling himself with that. So yeah, I think we got.
It's been 6 weeks has been crazy competitive. I mean, 3 teams at 2 and 4, 5 teams at 3 and 3. That battle's never been tighter. There's usually a team at like 1 and 5 right now, but we're no weeks are given this year, so it's been a fun start. There's 4 teams in one division tied at 3 and 3 for second place. So
yeah, we got a lot of parity in the league. I'm proud of everyone how they've been able to handle there's been a lot of injuries, a lot of cancellations of games, postponements. We got bye weeks going all over the place. So it's been an interesting year, and people have been able to adapt, kind of play their depth. I think that was probably is the best draft we've had, where everyone actually kind of understood what they need to do. They didn't draft any defenses in the 3rd or 4th round. It's kind of led to a very competitive season. So never know what's going to happen in the weekend dads, week in and week out. So
now we got the number 1 defense is actually on waivers. Colts D.
Oh, Colts.
And someone couldn't hold him to the bye, so I'm sure we got some fab coming. Fab hitting the board tomorrow.
Oh, for sure. So I think there's a good amount of teams with a good chunk of fab left. So I'm sure that'll be spent up, and we're going to be hitting the halfway point of the season. So it's going to start becoming crunch time now, and kind of see who's able to make those playoff pushes. And I'm just praying that we don't have any crazy postponements or anything come playoff time that really shake things up. So we'll see how that works out. But yeah, I just want to thank you, Jason, for coming on the Power Rankings Reveal show, giving your insight, helping out with the just a show and everything like that, and your participation in the rankings and all. So any final thoughts?
No, I mean, it's honored to be here, honored to be invited, Blake. You've done a great job with the power rankings this far. It's been a big thing everyone looks forward to every week. But yeah, it was fun. And hopefully I'm taking the league down again in a couple months. So
We'll see what happens. Weekend Dads has never had a repeat champion, and I don't know if we have an exact amount of time it's existed, 4 or 5 years. A little
5
little shady
with records.
Yeah, well, in our 5 years we've never had
years, but
no repeat champion, so we'll see if the parity can keep going. So thank you again for joining us. Thank you everyone for watching. Oh, you got a shout out?
Shout out Zayd, been moving the last 2 days. I know he's been working hard. Proud of him.
He's been working hard so we can watch those games on Sunday, you know. He's got to be able to get all set up and be able to cheer on his boys. Hope Leonard Fournette kind of gets on the field there. So yeah, thank you everyone for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. As Jason likes to say, smash that like button. Subscribe to the Weekend Dads on YouTube. Yeah, it's down there, I think. Yeah, everything's going to be down below. Comment your reactions. Mark, leave your reviews of the pod and what you think of everything. I'm sure Mark's going to be complaining about 7 and saying that, you know, everything's just fueling him. So thank you everyone again. Thank you, Jason, and we will see you guys next week. So goodbye.
He's a grown ass man, I'd say.